The New York Knicks get back on track against the Toronto Raptors after losing 3 straight games and now have a pretty tough schedule coming up. But what is the Knicks' ceiling? We'll touch on that in a bit. Appreciate you guys joining us today. Have LV Live joining the show again. If you're listening on Apple or Spotify, hit the subscribe button. Also, leave us a rating. It really helps out the channel. So, LV, they got a much-needed win against the Toronto Raptors. So, I guess the sky isn't falling after all, huh?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Much needed win. So hopefully everyone will feel a lot better about that. But it doesn't get any easier, man. Rematch Friday with OKC. So we'll see exactly what we look like then.
Yes, can't wait for that. Upcoming 6-game stretch is a tough stretch for this Knicks team. Hey, hardest schedule remaining in the NBA. Bring it on, right? You gotta put on your big boy pants. But quickly touch on the Raptors game, LV. Just great performances from Cat. Great performance from OG Anunoby. He finally got it going because Anunoby has kind of been struggling offensively. A lot of single-digit scoring outputs lately. And the efficiency was there from both of them. Even Josh Hart with another almost triple-double. 21, 7, and 11 rebounds for Hart. So I love what I saw from Anunoby and Cat, LV, especially Cat. I mean, he's a monster, as we know. But it's good to see the guys be efficient, make their threes, calm everything down. You did what you're supposed to do. And now everyone's going to be talking about OKC. But, let's quickly talk about this game.
Yeah, man, I thought it was a great showing. I mean, a lot of people
Yeah.
they didn't feel too good about it. They kind of felt like it was kind of a shaky win. But to me, a win's a win in this league, man. No matter how you get it, you can get off the snide as being 0-3 and get back in the winning column, which is very, very important. So I thought it was great last night. I thought, when you're kind of struggling offensively, right, you try to figure out exactly what clicks and what goes. The Knicks have been struggling from 3-point land. I'll give the
Mm-hmm.
percentage later. But sometimes all you need is just to kind of see the ball go in, and then also, too, just, one of your top guns coming back, which is Cat, right? Cat being there, having that 5-out look changes everything offensively for this team. And I think him being back, spreading the floor open, having another offensive weapon out there to go along with Brunson, then it opens it up to where, makes things easy for OG Anunoby, then for Josh Hart, then the offense is flowing. But I think the most important thing of it all is you saw a team with great energy. The last couple of games,
Yes.
they haven't had that. Excuse me, not really last couple of games. Let's say the last 2 games, because OKC, I thought they had it, the energy. But last 2 games, I would say they just didn't have it. But I just thought that on top of the skill set of this team and how well we looked, I thought at the top of the food chain has to be the energy. And we looked like a team that really was ready to go last night, man. That's what helped us to the win.
We did. We look, good from the get. Bench, I thought even played okay. Shamit, I know you're not seeing it in his threes. I mean, he hasn't hit a three in like 4 straight games. But I love the energy. I love the aggression on defense. I just love that. He's a basketball player. He knows when to cut, does all the little things. I think his threes will get better because that's really what he's known for, right? Three guy, 35, 36, 37% in his career. But Precious, I thought, was active, really active against the Toronto Raptors. 1 block in that game, 4 rebounds, just a lot of good stuff that we saw off the bench. And obviously, we'll talk about the last 3 minutes, which everyone is talking about. But yeah, just great game. And, I go back to Karl Anthony Towns, LV. I truly do think Cat is their best player. And look, that's not a slight at Jalen Brunson at all. But it's just how consistent Cat has been. Consistent that Karl Anthony Towns has been dominating his matchups, right? He's efficient in doing so when he is pretty much the focal point. And, I know we have a great starting 5, so we don't really need him to be the focal point. But the efficiency numbers just stand out to me. I mean, he has a 25% usage rate, 14.4% assist percentage. That means 14% of the time on the passes that he's throwing to his teammates, the Knicks are making them, so that's pretty good. 51% from mid-range, 45% from 3, and 46% from above the break threes. And he's the best rebounding big in the NBA. So the only metrics he struggles in is at the rim, 65%, and he was at 62% last season. LV, man, this guy, look, he's quickly becoming just one of the best centers in the NBA, if not the best center in the NBA. I know you can put Jokic up there. He's the best center in the East, in my opinion. I mean, that's really not a hot take, but yeah, man. I mean, when he's shooting his threes, I mean, he's shooting 46% from above the break threes. I mean, it's unreal, and he's honestly been the Knicks' most consistent in terms of efficiency on the offensive end. I know Mikal has been good, but Mikal has been struggling here from three lately. But LV, Cat is, you gotta feed him. You gotta feed the cat, because I think this Knicks offense really plays well when this man is dominating like we saw versus Toronto.
I think he's worth every penny. What do you think, Ant? I think he's worth every penny, man. Every penny. Listen, look,
Yeah.
if anybody goes back to the beginning of this game, right, the NBA or even hoops in general, right, the most important thing to have was a big man.
Yeah.
That's what the game has always been centered around. Having a legit big man that can score, rebound, block shots, all those things, right? You go back to the greats, of course, Bill Russell, Will Chamberlain, of course, Kareem. We go down the line, right? Or Olajuwon, whatever. So now, in a sense, it's back to that, right? Because the most dominant player in the league is a center, right? Is Joker, right? So I think we have the second most dominant guy in the league, right?
Yeah.
And so to me, it's easy that he is basically the best player on this team, right? It's easy. I mean, I feel it's still Brunson. The only reason I give Brunson the nod is because in this city, you got to do it when it's big, when it's money time, right? And that's the playoffs.
And we haven't seen
When
that.
Towns when Towns does that, to me, then that's when I give him his flowers. So that's what I'm waiting for. But based on how he's looking at, I don't think he's going to be anything less than that, right? We knew what he was when he came here, 50, 40, 90 guy. I mean, the numbers speak for itself, leading the league in rebounding, right? So his presence and what he's done creating that 5-out set, like I stated, makes the game so much easier for everybody because of Cat's arrival. Think about this, and we're talking about OG Anunoby being an all-star. We're talking about Josh Hart possibly maybe getting an all-star nod, right? Both of those guys are having career seasons. That's all because of Cat. He changes everything, right? So to me, man, there's no denying how important he is to this team. And every time he's been outside the lineup with the Knicks, I think we've lost, if I'm correct, Dan. And he's been missed about 2 or 3 games. I think we've lost those. We lost to Detroit. We lost the other night. And I think the other game we lost as well because of that lineup, because of what he does. So now you don't have to worry about Cat. He changes everything. Yeah. So now it goes back to Brunson playing hero ball, and that's not something we want to see. Having the big cat out there and doing what he does, picking and popping, going to the rack, finishing strong at the rim, is something that we love. Of course, being a great passer from the top of the key. I mean, he just does it all, man. And being 7 feet, he's a cheat code. So, I mean, this is just changing everything for us. So we just have to continue to monitor him. I was a little nervous last night. I gasped. I seen him limping. I said, oh, man, please no, right? Yep. And then it was 4 minutes left. I said, Tibbs, get him out the game, man. Get him out the game. He's dealing with this knee issue. Get him out the game. We need him for Friday. And that's just because of what he does for this lineup, man. So, once again, man, he's worth every penny, man.
In the month of December, I'm looking at his game log now. He only shot above 20 field. He didn't shoot above 20 field goals in the month of December. So during the 9-game winning streak, I mean, he's always hovering around 15 to 19. I know the loss in Chicago, he had 29 field goal attempts. But look, the efficiency has been there all season long for him. And now we're seeing Brunson kind of struggle from 3. Jalen Brunson and Mikal Bridges. So Brunson over his last 9 games is shooting 14% from 3. And Bridges is in a funk. You have Campaign in a funk. You have Shaman in a funk in terms of shooting the rock. So are you concerned about Brunson's threes?
Oh, no, not at all with that guy, man. Come on, man. Listen, I think with anybody in life, right? I think when you kind of have a track record to pull from, right, you shouldn't really be concerned. Everybody kind of hits a little slump, and I think it happens during the season. You are right. I mean, the team is struggling from 3. I think last 10 games, I believe we're shooting 32.6% from 3. Right. So, across the board, right, we're struggling with that. And a lot of that is due to legs, man, tired legs and stuff like that. Guys don't get lift for that 3. Right. So, if we're kind of going to the rack, we're shooting better at 2-pointers. But the 3 ball has been kind of struggling for us as of late. But a guy like Brunson, no, not at all. And I think with him, the beauty of him is that one thing you can depend on him is money time. right? That's where he's made his money, and that's where he's really stamped his arrival here in the city and in the league.
Yeah.
Money time, especially in the playoffs and big time moments, right? So for me, that's what I expect from him. And I think with the addition of Towns, I think it's going to make it a little easier for him. I mean, you got to think of where his numbers have really been like, you know, kind of ascended, right? With the assist piece, right? He's almost at 8 assists this year. That's all because of Towns. So he's gotten everybody better.
Mhm.
But you have to be honest with the fact that because of Towns, your shots are going to go down. You're not going to shoot it as much. You're not going to have as much as open space as you would like because you're not the one being ball dominant. You got to swing the ball. You know, we had like a team record as far as 30 assists in the season this year so far. I believe we're at like 15 or 16 for the season, which is great. So we're moving the ball. Everybody's getting involved. So you're not going to see a lot of those Brunson nights like we saw last year, so many of them, right? But that's to me is a plus because now with Towns, it balances everything out. So even with Brunson having a tough night, we still won easy, right? So I think that that's what you want from this team. Because last year, remember, Ann, if Brunson had a bad night, we were going to lose. I mean, that's just what was going to happen. I don't feel that way now at all because the ball's being spread around and we're playing more like a team, man. So I think that's something we should be excited about.
He's also been dealing with a calf situation, and that could be contributing to it. Bridges, one thing I noticed, LV, is scaled back his minutes a little bit versus the Raptors last game. Thibodeau normally plays him the entire first, the entire third, but against the Raptors, he sat him with like 2 minutes left in the first quarter, and he sat him in the third quarter with like 2 minutes left in the third quarter. So baby steps for Mikal Bridges, who's currently leading the NBA in minutes per game. So just I like to see that. I like to see that.
Mm-hmm.
But all right. So yeah, look, you did what you're supposed to do. You beat the Raptors, 3 straight L's. You had to beat them. I kind of wanted to see them blow them out. Wish they did. So you got back on track. You're still in a good spot. Schedule's coming up. The schedule that is coming up is tough for the New York Knicks. But LV, I wanted to ask you a question. Obviously, the name of this title of the pod is, what's the Knicks ceiling? So I've been hearing a lot of talk about the Knicks not being ready to compete this year, and this is the year before the year because of how weak our bench is. And I can kind of buy into that. Obviously, I don't really want to, just automatically advert to that because, I actually want to see how this season plays out. I want to see what Mitchell Robinson looks like, and we'll talk about Mitch in a second. But what do you say to the people that say, this is the year before the year, or do you agree with those people? What is the ceiling of this Knicks team this year?
Well, I think going into the season, Aaron, right, everybody felt that it was Eastern Conference or bust, correct?
Yeah.
I don't think anybody thought we were going to win a championship this year. I don't think that was the talk. Is a possibility, yeah. I mean, it's possible that I can maybe fly one day, right? I mean, that doesn't mean it's going to happen, right? I'm just saying, right? So, right, there's a possibility. I mean, yeah, but if people were honest, most people were. They said, listen, man, we got to get to the Eastern Conference Finals. If we lose there, okay, cool. Because we know this is a marathon, not a sprint, right? So we're building. Everybody's in their prime. Everybody's under 30 outside of campaign.
Mm-hmm.
So everybody is building. This is like a 5-year window. We have a 6-year window. So everyone understands that if we don't get to the finals this year, okay, cool. But we got to get out the second round. Like, that's important. So if we get to the Eastern Conference Finals, fine. So to that point, and that question, it's valid because people understand that there's still some holes here that we have to fix before we can swim in those waters with those big sharks, man. Those big sharks being OKC and, of course, Boston, right? Of course, Dallas, right? A lot of teams that really had some time to really assemble their team. And even now, look, even a team like the Cavs, right? That's a team that's been together for a couple of years now. They've really started to assemble their bench. So these are teams that all have had a couple of seasons under their belt to really get their squads together, right? So the Knicks haven't really been afforded that with the addition of Towns and, of course, OG Anunoby. We got him last year, and, of course, Mikal Bridges, right? So all these things are happening right now. So to me, I feel we're a year or two out, and I do agree that we do have to take care of the issue with the bench. But based on our skill set and based on what we have and based on how weak the East is, I think definitely Eastern Conference or bust. I don't think we should be anywhere in that second round. I think we can, because you got to think, if we're a third seed or a second seed, we're going to play either one, either Boston or maybe Cleveland in that second round, right? So to me, that's the goal, man. Get to that Eastern Conference Finals, and if you lose, you lose, okay. But once again, it's constantly moving up, right? Moving up the needle, the same way
Yeah.
Boston did all in the years,
Yeah.
right? And that's the goal, man.
Yeah. Look, coming into this, I thought Eastern Conference Finals last season, right? And we were one game away. It ended badly. Injuries took a toll. So you kind of were like, all right, what were we gonna do if when we had OG Anunoby out, Brunson broke his hand, Mitch was out again. So obviously, when the playoffs come, you hope that everyone stays healthy. But I really want to see what this team looks like with Mitch. And I see everyone in the chat. Thank you for joining us. Christopher in the chat says championship. Nostalgic says finals ceiling. Darlene, what's going on? Finals, maybe chip. If not, it is a bust. From Nice in the chat. So, hey, look, I love the enthusiasm. I wouldn't call it a bust. But
Right.
Alan Hahn said it on, his new show in the afternoon. He said, look, this Knicks team is not a championship team yet. And what this bench has shown you, I mean, it's obviously we have to wait and see. Look, trading deadline is what, a month away. So I know the Knicks are very limited to making moves and whatnot. I want to see what this team looks like with Mitch, because the Knicks, if there's any team in the East, LV, that can, like we've talked about the Cavs how many times? I mean, if there's any team that can match up with them, I think it's the Knicks, because Mitch and Cat, you can match up against their 2 7-footers and they can kind of go back and forth. They're playing well. Last week we were on here. Should we, believe in the Cavs? And they just keep on winning. So that's a team you have to give their respect, and hope we'll see how we match up with them in the playoffs, like what seed we become. But I do think we are a year before the year. I think next year is when this Knicks team can be really good. But that doesn't preclude me from enjoying myself this season and
Agreed.
watching how things play out. So
Agreed. I think that's how it should be, man. As fans, man, I feel the same way. I mean, you kind of see where the team, like I said, has holes at and where they're limited, right? So, but the key is that they still got to play the games, man. They still got to play the games, and anything can happen. Anything can happen. Someone can get hurt. Someone can get injured. You never know. It derails seasons all the time with injuries, right? So you never know what a team's going to look like. And I'm not speaking for us. I'm speaking of a team like Cleveland, a team like Boston, right? All those top teams, OKC, whomever, right? You see what they're dealing with Chet. They're still playing well, but still, you never know what they're going to look like. Look what Orlando's dealing with their injuries, right? So once again, you never know, man. It's a long season, so anything can happen. But if you take it all rosters, everyone's healthy, right? You got to really look at, okay, you just got to be honest with yourself.
yeah,
How do we measure up against the top dogs? What does it look like? Can we beat them 4 out of 7? We can, but is it likely based on, the firepower that they have and what we have, right? So I think, to your point, that's why, you speak of the bench and all those other things, because, we're watching the game just like everybody else, and I'm measuring. I watched the game last night. I was flicking back and forth, and I wanted to see what Cleveland looked like. And it's the same Cleveland, man. It's the same Cleveland. They're just playing harder. Guys are playing better, but it's the same. They still got LeVert. They got the same guys, man. Same guys. They got a couple of guys here and there, but it's nothing that's wowing me to where I'm like, okay, I don't,
LV
it's
don't
just
believe in
like,
Cleveland.
no, because the playoffs is different, man. That's
Yeah,
what
I
it
know. I
is,
know. Oh, I agree with you,
and
man. I
so
agree.
and so I like what they're doing. I do. It's a long season, man. It's a long season. And when we get to the playoffs, we'll see exactly how guys shake up when the pressure's on, right? So to me, that's the big thing. But you got to be impressed with what they're doing. You have to. I mean, you can't deny it and act like they stink. I don't think that at all. But the playoffs are different, man. You know what I mean? Because I can see, I mean, honest with you guys, you may not believe it, but if Baron Cheryl comes back and Wagner comes back, I could see a team like Orlando beating like Cleveland in like the second round. Like, I can see something like that.
Yeah.
The way they play defense and the way they defend and the way they got those two big wings, they got size all over the place with Orlando.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see them sneaky, beating the Cavs in like 7.
That's one team I don't really want to play in the playoffs.
That's what I'm saying, man. Listen,
I mean,
they're a tough out. We beat them
yeah.
4 out of 3, but every time we beat them, it felt like a street fight. You know what I mean? So they are a legit team, man. So what I'm saying is, and they don't even have their top guns back. So when you get those guys back and the way they play defense and they go 10 or 11 deep, and you feel like every person that's rolling off that bench is like 6'9" or 6'10", you're like, dang, where they got these guys from, man, right? They can be a dangerous team to a team like Cleveland, you know what I mean, in the second round of the playoffs. Like, if you think about it, right? So a team that no one wants to see. So that's to me, that's the league, man, and that's what the playoffs bring. So that's the beauty of this.
Yeah, look, not dunking from any smoke, but Orlando plays, man, like we said, prison ball, man. They play hard. They play hard. Roland says their ceiling is the play-in game.
Oh, man.
Roland in the chat. Roland, come on. You got it. Play in? Nah, come on. I mean, we're number 3 in the East already, you know? I think their ceiling is 2 rounds and then Eastern Conference Finals. I think if this team, look, I know it's early. If we get to the Eastern Conference Finals, you know, obviously it depends who we match up with. You know, I really don't want to get into that talk now, but obviously it depends who we match up with.
Right.
You know, a lot of people,
Agreed.
when we get to the Eastern Conference Final, we're going to be like, all right, finals, this is the year.
Right, of course.
I can't wait for that to happen. Appreciate every single one of you guys tuning in to this midday stream. Just talking it up, chopping it up. Knicks coming off a big win against the Toronto Raptors. Much needed win. Got the game in MSG. They started their 5-game homestand. They're 1-1 in their 5-game homestand. Now you got OKC, Milwaukee, and Detroit coming into your arena. But just talking about what the Knicks ceiling is. Nostalgic says Orlando plays dirty. Magic can't shoot. You not winning nothing with no shooters. In the chat.
You know what, Cali? Guess my guy, Cali Passion, man. What's going on, man? Appreciate you coming through, rocking with us. Listen, man. Agreed. But see, a team like that is dangerous because they can muck up the game, man. They can muck up the game. And the way they play and how hard they play, they roll so many different bodies out there.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter, man. It's a 7-game series. Anything can happen. And the way they defend, if you can defend in this league, you can win a lot of games, man. And they've proven that. So in a 7-game series, I'm not saying they beat the Cavs, definitely. I'm not saying that, guys. But what I'm saying is that they're going to be a tough out. And I would not be surprised if they kind of catch the Cavs sleeping and beat them in 7 games. I wouldn't be surprised by that just because of how hard they play.
Yeah, I wouldn't either. Okay, so last night, speaking about, you know, the Knicks ceiling, the Knicks bench, this may be the year before the year. So last night during the game, in the last 3 minutes of the game, the Knicks bench, I got a graphic here. Oh, wrong one. Graphic here. All right, so the Knicks bench. Jericho Sims, 4 minutes. Kolek, 2 minutes. Matt Ryan, 2 minutes. Jacob Toppin, 2 minutes. Plus minus 12. Jericho Sims, plus minus 11. So, you know, the question we've been asking ourselves is this Knicks bench bad, or is Tom Thibodeau not just trusting them, LV?
Okay.
So
you know what? That's fool's gold. That's not even the bench. That's not even the guys that played last night.
Yeah.
Shamet played 21 minutes. How much did Precious play? About 16 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that.
Yeah, I think he
right.
Played,
so
yeah,
right. So then you had Campaign, right? So that's the bench. Then you add on maybe like a Dadier or Akaporte. That's who we're talking about. We're not talking about these guys. Jacob Toppin, Matt Ryan. Come on, man. That's not who people are talking about.
Well, Kolek. Listen, Kolek.
Right, Kolek. Yeah, okay, Kolek. Get the Kolek in there.
Yeah.
But Sims is a shell of himself. I don't know what's going on with Sims. It feels like to me, man, the Knicks are throwing him out there, shopping him around like, hey, man, look, this is what we got. Do you want him? Okay, well, you know, we'll take back a second and maybe a guy on the bench for him because Sims looks right now. I don't know if his confidence is shot, man. I don't know. He just kind of looks unplayable right now, man. He's not even looking at the rim. Like, I don't know what's going on with him, man. I mean, Precious just coming and stolen his minutes easy. I mean, you know, Sims has it all. He has all the tools, man. But sometimes, you know, it's just what's between the ears, man. It feels like to me his confidence is shot.
Well, to be fair for him, he's kind of been in and out the lineup, not
right.
consistent minutes. He actually, when he was playing a lot, was in the Knicks' best defensive lineup. So if you want to, take that for what you will.
Right.
But yeah, look, look, this graphic was going around X on all over, and they were like, these are the guys who you want Tom Thibodeau to go to. These guys who gave up a 22-point lead and I think down to 12. And look, it's not fair to them, right?
It's not
A couple of turnovers. Kolek had a bad turnover. But
right.
Thibs saw those last 3 minutes and was like, look, this is what we got.
Right.
This is at the end of the bench. So you guys want me to play these guys.
Right. That's funny, man. That's funny. I hope people aren't really identifying that and saying, okay, that's what it is, man. This is You know what I mean? I hope people are sharp enough to realize that these guys shouldn't even be playing at all. Like, this is not the guys people are really talking about. The only person out of here that you're really talking about is like Kolek. Like, that's the only one. You put Kolek with better people around him, better pieces. He's shown that he plays well.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And I think, honestly, and if you really want to really pay attention to the numbers and everything, he's kind of taking that turn, man. I think he's slowly surpassed Campaign right now. I think you should really start sneaking him in there with that second unit. Put him with Deuce, put him with a couple of those players to see how he looks. I like how he runs the offense. I like his command of the offense. He plays with a lot of confidence. But the only way you're going to know what he is, man, is you got to put him out there. You got to see what you have. And the times that he's been out there, I thought he's played well. Also, too, Ant, and everybody in the chat, please let me know. What is going on with Akaporte, man? Like, he couldn't even get in for, like, these last 2 minutes. Tibbs is not even putting him in for that. So I hope he didn't do something behind the scenes and kind of make Tibbs upset, because you know how Tibbs does. He holds grudges, and because this kid, listen, every time he's played, this is to Ant and everybody in the chat.
It's a pecking order. It's a pecking order.
I want you to speak on it. He did not have once. I've seen him out there, and he looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's always made an impact, and that's with the starters. That's with everybody. He's played really well with great energy, right? He cannot sniff the court. So I don't even know what's going on with that. And I think that's some of the fans' also frustration, because they're like, okay, you're rolling Sims out there. To my eye, and I think to everybody else's eye, it looks like Akaporte's better than Sims. Like, I think he's better than Sims. But he just doesn't want to play him. He brought him up the other night when we knew Cat wasn't playing, and he didn't even play the kid. Not even at all. Even when Sims wasn't playing well, he did not even put the kid in to even see what he can give you. So I'm like, Tibbs, like, what's going on? And then this is the big thing. 2 minutes left in the game. I'm glad you have that up there. That kid couldn't even smell the court. So I don't know what's going on in that aspect, man. I have no idea, because it makes no sense to me why the kid's not even getting, bum minutes like this and 2 minutes to go. Like, I don't even know why he's not putting the kid out there.
The only other thing I can think of is that he's been in rumors, and the Knicks and these garbage minutes want to get Jericho Sims in there to kind of show the rest of the NBA, like, look, this is right. What Jericho Sims can do. Right. But the problem is Sims is not really doing anything in those minutes. And look, to be fair to Sims, he's been, consistently not playing. So want to be, fair at the same time. But yeah, Hukporty, the thing is, going back to your Kolek point really quick, I agree. I've been saying it on my post games that Kolek, I think, should start to creep into the minutes from Campaign, because Campaign has kind of flamed out here. And look, Campaign came in, like, when we signed him, we really didn't really expect that much from Campaign. He was always that spark off the bench for, contending teams. When he's in there, he'll give you a spark like he did with Philadelphia in the series. I forgot what game that was, game 4 maybe. And he came in and he, gave him a spark. And look, he's been inconsistent, but, that's Campaign, right? So it's going to be interesting to watch what Tom Thibodeau does with that. Does Kolek start to take Campaign's minutes, and do we start to see Kolek and McBride on the same floor? Because, in these last 2 minutes, it was unfair for Kolek because he wasn't really playing with anyone. Right. And we've seen Kolek and we've seen Hukporty, when they're in with the big dogs, they play well. So that's going to be something to watch. I do think Kolek will creep into, the minutes for Campaign, but I don't know.
But see, I'm glad you mentioned that. Like with them playing with the big dogs.
Yeah.
And I think that's the frustration sometimes with fans that really know the game. Like they really pay attention to things. So you say to yourself, "Wow, this guy's giving us good minutes. Tibbs, why won't you play him a little bit more?"
Mm-hmm.
And then they have all these excuses. Then he throws these guys out there and says, "Okay, see that's what these guys look like." You're like, "No, Tibbs, don't try to get slick, man. That's not what we're talking about. Don't throw these guys in there with 2 minutes and say, okay, we need you to score 25 points. Like that's not what people are talking about. People are talking about you knew you had these guys earlier in the season. We saw Akaporte. You gave fans a glimpse of what he is. And we said, wow, okay, who's this guy? Right? Maybe he can provide minutes. Really, reality check is that Mitch is not coming back to after February. So it's not like we don't need him. We do need him. So why not use him, Tibbs? Because when he's been out there, he's been pretty good. So then you don't play him. So that's why the fans are saying what they're saying. They're not saying, okay, just throw Jacob Toppin in it. That's not what they're saying, man. They're not saying that. Come on, people are smarter than that.
I've
then
seen
you
that
put,
though, but
right, like, and that, but that's not real. Come on, Jacob Toppin's like, he's a G League guy. But then you throw Tyler Kolek out there, right, with the starters, like you said, the big dogs. And he's played really, really well. So you say, wait a minute, right? As fans, and I'm not speaking of last week, I'm speaking of earlier in the season. We saw glimpses and we said, hey, man, I think this kid has got something here. So then he'll put him in again. He'll knock down a couple of threes, play really well with the offense. You say, wow, okay, maybe he can possibly kind of get more minutes instead of campaign. And quick thought, guys. When this deal was made over the summer for campaign, I didn't agree with it. I said it on a short. I didn't agree with it because I said you just picked up Kolek. Mm-hmm. He's a top, well-known. He was Big East Player of the Year, very similar to Jalen Brunson. He was like an All-American coming out of college. Ready to go, 4 years in college. So you have your backup to Brunson right here. Why not let this kid grow to get better, to learn behind Brunson? So when they picked up campaign, to me, it made no sense. Now, to your point, Ant, he started to surpass campaign. Like his skill set, you can see where it would fit well with this second lineup. Yeah. He's a pass-first guard. He knows how to run the offense. That's perfect for a guy like Deuce that can't really run the offense. So imagine him and Deuce in the backcourt together. Yes, he's got to get better defensively, but that's the ups and downs you get with rookies, man. That's okay. Let them play through that to get better. And to me, that's the bench. If you use Deuce, Kolek, Precious, and Akaporte and Shamet, that's your five right there coming off the bench. That's them right there. So Tibbs can go 9 deep. He can go 8 deep. He can do that. So that's why the fans are complaining. They're not complaining because you pay Jacob Toppin. That's not what people are saying. You know what I mean? So that's why that's the frustration that comes with them. They say, "Oh, play the guys on the bench, Tibbs." That's not what people are saying. Yeah, they're saying play the guys that we feel that we see has potential here, right? And then, of course, people are talking about Dottier because they're like, wait a minute. What happened to Dottier, man? You threw him away on the bench. And my last point, I'm going long-winded here, but it's a lot. I'm really frustrated about this topic. You draft Dottier, and he's 18 years old. He's like not even ready yet. When the draft came around, everybody was talking about Ryan Dunn from Virginia. He's a local kid from Long Island. Everybody felt he's the guy. You know why? Because he's great defensively. He can't shoot, but he can work on it just like Deuce. But he can come in and defend right away. They're using him in Phoenix, and he's playing well. So everyone said, why not draft a ready-made guy as opposed to a project like Dottier? And what has he done with Dottier? He shipped him off. He's in the G League. We don't even know where he's at. I don't even see him on the bench. So once again.
He's in the G League.
Right. Once again. That's why people are complaining. Yeah. Sorry, I was on my soapbox. There you go.
Like Mike says in the chat, OV is my basketball unk. And then Keith says, you may be right. He may have pissed things off somehow, talking about Akaporte. Yeah, look, that decision was, hindsight, you're seeing Dunn do things, and now, Daddy is in the G League, but he's a development. He's a project. He's still raw, still super young. But, the way the Knicks are currently constructed, you would have thought they would have went for a more NBA-ready player. That's the frustration. It's like, okay, you're seeing Dunn do this in Phoenix. Daddy A can't get any burn. He's developing in the G League, playing okay in the G League. Kolek is Every time Kolek is in the G League, LV, he's looking like Steve Nash. Like,
That's right.
like it's like a man playing amongst boys in the G League.
Yeah,
Like,
his numbers are crazy, man. 36 and 12
yeah,
assists, like it's insane.
but that's how you know that he can do it, man. If he's doing that in the G League, which are it's like what, like if you compare it to baseball, like AAA, AA,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. You're right there. AAA.
So if he's doing that, I think I hope that he's gonna start to take campaigns minutes. I hope because that'll be fun. Mixed in with Bridges, mixed in with Shamit, Precious. You said Hukporty. It can be even Cat when Cat gets his rest on and off. The pick and rolls with Kolek and Cat, like that, it kind of excites me, right? So I hope that Thib makes that switch at least because we haven't seen nothing from Cam Payne. I mean, it's like honestly nothing. I mean, he had 2 assists, 1 steal last night, plus minus 9, so impacted the game, I guess. But yeah, I hope he makes that switch. Hope he does. Hit some of these comments.
And you nailed it, man. He's kind of flamed out, man. And you know what I mean? So I don't know.
Yeah, he has. But look, we didn't, like you said, you didn't like the signing, but you know, I thought it was an okay sign. But honestly, he's doing what he's supposed to be doing. Consistent some nights, inconsistent most nights. He's honestly just your veteran at the end of the bench that can, you know, do his little dances and provide a spark, which we love to see. All right. Word in drafting him in the first round made them have to sign him. He could have developed overseas. Talking about Daddy A. Daddy A is brushing his skills, making some French fries or some croissants. Come on, nice. Come on, nice. That's been nice.
Yo, nice. You're nice. That is hard right there. That's hard. That's a hard take, my man.
Mike says, I don't care about topping. I care about extending the life of my players. All I was saying was if he could give someone a few minutes rest, then why not? Yeah, look, last night he really went 8 until the game was out of hand. Then he played his bench. But, you know, it's been a hot topic. Players are not really complaining about it. They never will. Obviously, if you're a player, you want to play. But it's just something to watch. I think, you know, with the return of Mitch Robinson coming, hopefully that will kind of stabilize things. But, yeah, nice as Daddy A when he shoots his 3. It gives me IQ confidence for him. Daddy A may have a special one we have. Yeah, look, Daddy A, high arcing moonshot, only 19, super young, developmental project, LV. And look, like we were talking before the show, Dibs is a smart guy, right? So these conversations are probably being had within the front office. Should we, you know, expand the rotation? Should we not? Like, how are they playing in the G League? That's another thing. He's studying the G League too. Not only is he watching the games that the Knicks are playing, I'm sure he's going home and watching full G League highlights of Daddy A and Kolek do their things in the G League. So,
yeah, I mean, listen. Look, you know, I'm not on the train of fire Tips. I'm not. I just want him to make some adjustments to certain things that he does. Listen, you know, you got to think of what this team was before Tips got here, right? So I give Tips his flowers. I do. I just think the frustration that people have is that Tibbs has always been known to be like a top-heavy guy, like a veteran guy. He loves guys who are ready to go, vets who've been here longer, and he'll play those guys. He'll run them into the ground because those are guys he trusts. So he's from the old guard. If anybody knows, Tibbs is from the old guard, man. He was on the Knicks bench back when Jeff Van Gundy and those guys were here. So that's back in the 90s, man. Tibbs is from that old guard. So he believes that your stars should play 36 to 40-something minutes a night because that's what Patrick Ewing and all those guys should do. So to fans that are seeing the game today, they get frustrated because they see like everybody going 10, 11 deep. The game has changed. Tibbs hasn't. So he doesn't really believe in that. He believes in guys who have proven it over time and who have put the work in. So he's going to really believe in those guys, which is valid. And he has every right to feel that way. And I think he has a point. But I think with anything, you know, sometimes you got to change a bit. And I think he has. But when people see what's happening this year, when you see Cat limp off the court with a knee issue, right? When you see all these things, dudes pop up with the hamstring, right? Automatically, as fans, we got PTSD. You say, here goes Tibbs. Here goes Tibbs, right? And so that's the frustration. So then people turn to say, okay, why not play some of these bench guys? So I don't think anybody is wrong. I think everybody has some points of being right too, right? But to go as far to say that we've got to fire this guy, I don't think that is. I don't think that's the right move to do. I do think that we got to really start thinking about possibly developing our young players because with the way the apron is, with the way they've changed this whole free agency stuff, you can't just go out and get, a top tier, free agent because you got to make sure your money is right and all this other things. So now it forces you, Ant, to make sure you make good picks in the draft. You have a good offseason with your free agents because if you don't, you're going to be struggling the same way the Knicks are because you have no bench. And that's the key in the season. Because here's the thing, guys, and I'm just being honest. Knock on wood, what do we do if Cat goes down for like a couple of weeks or a month? What do we do if Brunson goes down for a week or a month? What does this team look like? Are we even a top 3 team? Right? So that's the worry of some fans.
Yeah.
So you can't say, okay, no, we don't need to worry about it because no. You always lean on the side of caution. So you always should have a backup plan. So to your point, Ant, why not develop Kolek to where if something does happen, Brunson is dealing with this calf issue. You say, I trust in Kolek. I think he could run the offense and hold it down until Brunson comes back. But if you haven't done that, and now you're forcing to play guys that you really don't want to play, of course they're going to play how they played last night, and of course they're going to do that.
Mm-hmm. Mike brings up a good point. Mike says, like we said, why doesn't Tom Thibodeau mix the rookies in with the vets so that, it's minimal errors? Don't play 3 of them together. It's going to be a disaster. Yeah, we talked about how that graphic that I put up earlier is misleading. You put in Kolek with, Jacob Toppin, and, it's not going to bode well for them. So we just hope to see Kolek in with the starters more, and hopefully he can overtake Payne. PD in the chat says you can't call out campaign about his midseason. Y'all can't call out campaign about his midseason slump, but ignore Deuce and Brunson and other players like Ish.
Whoa. Okay, look. Okay. Deuce and Brunson, what slump are they having? They've been playing really well. Brunson's going to probably start the All-Star game, man. He's going to probably start the All-Star game. Deuce has put up the best numbers that he ever has his whole career, man. He's up there with like 6 man a year conversation. Not saying he's going to win it, but that's how well he's been producing off the bench. He's got a hamstring issue.
I don't agree with that, but yeah.
So he listen, I'm not saying he's going to definitely win it, but was in talks because of how well he was shooting and coming off the bench. He's playing really, really, really well, man. I love what Deuce is doing, but are you going to have?
He's been hurt.
Right, he's been hurt. Like so, campaign, man. You can't even put those two in the same conversation, man. Campaign, Deuce, and Brunson, man. You just cannot do that. Someone else, yeah, but not those two, man. They've been playing really, really well this year.
Yeah, you can't put them in. They're not in the same. They're not in the same league. And look, Brunson's in a slump. We've said it when the pod opened up. Deuce has been inconsistent, but he was starting to play well until he hurt his hamstring in warm up. So this is from speaking of Tom Thibodeau, Knicks head coach's winning percentage is since 2015. Tom Thibodeau at number 1, 56% win percentage. So Mike Miller at number 2. Wow. We went through some dark days, man. Mike Miller, Jeff Hornacek, Kurt Rambis, Derek Fisher, David Fizdale.
Yeah.
Definitely don't want one of them back. I'll tell you that.
Right, that's what I'm saying, man. So remember, he picked up his 200th win last night, guys.
Yeah.
24 wins away from Jeff Van Gundy, 63 wins away from Pat the Rat Riley. So, yeah.
All he does is win. Like DJ, who said that? DJ Khaled? All I do is win. But, yeah, so shout out to Dibs, 200 win. I think Cat at 14,000 points last night, I believe.
Yo, man, Cat, yeah. I think something like that. I think you're right, yep.
Cat is a monster. And then last night after the game, speaking of the bench, we saw Big Mitch looking good, looking slim, looking ready, looking lean. Is he ready to come back? Is he 100%? Is he at 99%? I think the Knicks still want him to be at 1,000%.
Right.
But LV, it's just great to see him. He looks skinny. He looked lean.
Yeah.
So
Well,
that
he's been
means,
working out. They said he's
yeah,
been working out with the team. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if he started running yet. I don't know, but he's been at the facility. They said for a minute now. Remember back when they did the West Coast trip? He traveled with the team. Remember that?
yep.
So he was out there working with them, working with the trainer and stuff. So hey, listen, man, he's trying to get back. You got to kind of give him credit for that. He's really working really hard. So now it's just up to the medical staff.
Yeah. So is Mitchell Robinson the piece, LV, that we're waiting for? But I don't know. We talked about this before, but I don't know. Seeing him last night kind of, gave me hope again. I'm like, okay, Skinny Mitch is making a comeback. That means he's doing cardio behind the scenes, working out, shedding off those pounds, and you love to see that. But like you said, I think he's about a month away, maybe, but he will help definitely. But it's just good to see him in great spirits around the team. That means he's close.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm glad you. I was just about to say that, and seeing him last night, kind of seeing him moving around, and I said, okay, he's close, man. He's close. I think we're gonna have him back soon.
Latoria, what's going on? This Rover says, here's my hot take. I even think Jacob Toppin and even Matt Ryan could be serviceable as backup 3s and 4s to stem the tide while our guys rest. I think Jacob Toppin is he is what he is, man. I think he is. There's no slight at Toppin, but I think he's just a jag. He's just a guy.
Right.
But Matt Ryan can shoot. But right now, I think there's guys, above them in the pecking order that I want to see.
Right. The reality, this Grover, I appreciate that, man. You coming through rocking with us. The reality of this is he okay? Is Matt Ryan better than Shamet? He's not better than Shamet, right? So you got to think of minutes. It's only 48-minute games. So you got to think, where are these minutes going to go? Shamet played 21 minutes last night. So where do you squeeze Matt Ryan in, right? So you got to think about matchups, right? Who does he play over? The only person is Shamet. He's not playing over Precious Achua because he can't defend the 5 or the 4, right? So where do you really plug him in at? Like, that's the key, because he's got to guard people too. Remember that, right? So that's kind of hard to really say, man. I mean, I just don't see it with Matt Ryan.
He said backup. So he wants to that's what they are. They're the backups. But right now, we're not really seeing the backups. So they're like the backups.
Disc Rover.
So, yeah.
Oh, man, I love that backups.
To the backups to the backups, man.
Oh,
that's what they
man,
are.
That's crazy.
I think I see an account on X for Jacob Toppin. Every game he tweets, "Oh, I stood up 5 times. I gave 10 handshakes, 3 daps." And it's hilarious, man. But
that's the greatest job in the world, man. Those guys are still getting paid, man.
Yeah, it is. Yuri says, I hear late January, early February for Mitchell Robinson. Keep Mitch away from Embiid. Embiid will retire Mitch early with them dirty plays. Yes.
Yeah,
keep
man,
him away
agreed.
from Embiid.
Agreed.
But that's the Embiid stopper, man.
That's right.
Sam says, let's think about it this way. As it's been up to this point, we're good against bad to mid-tier teams, fall short to the elite teams, top 2 in both conferences. If we're not a 1 seed, that means we're probably not getting out the second round as it stands now. I think that's a good segue, LV, to this upcoming Knicks schedule. Next 6 games. Here it is on the screen. Friday night should be a doozy. Tomorrow night, or depending on when you're listening to this, against OKC on Friday should be a great game. And look, LV, revenge. It's time to get some revenge. You got two games, Atlanta and OKC, that I want this Knicks team to get some revenge. And OKC is just coming off a loss to Cleveland. They're going to be pissed off and angry. I think Caruso's still out for them. We shall see, though. Mm-hmm. But when you see these next 6 games, LV, what goes through your mind?
Danger zone, man. Danger zone. This is where, like I said it before, Ant, right? This is where you're going to find out if you're real or if you're fake, right? If this season has been a fluke, right? Because all these teams are legit, man. And they're all playing well. Of course, OKC, they lost last night, but they were winning 15 in a row.
Yeah.
Milwaukee, they've been up and down, but they're still solid. Got to respect them. Detroit has been a surprise of the season.
They're playoff team.
Right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, right? Cade Cunningham's an all-star, man. So they look really good. I mean, young and active, so they're no joke. Philly is Philly still. Great rivalry. They still have a solid team. You got to respect them. Randall's coming back to the Garden, so he's going to want to put up big numbers and put thumbs down too while on his way out, right? So that's another game. And what more can I say about Trae Young rolling dice and playing CeeLo in the center of the Knicks court, right? So they've had our number all year. So these games are going to be extremely, extremely tough. So we got to see exactly who we are, man. Who we are. But I love it because this is where you find out, man, who's who. And then it makes you kind of, come to a realistic point of the season to say, okay, this is what we are. You are what your record says you are. And so based on how we play against these teams, you're going to get a real good feeling of who we are this year.
Finessville says it in the chat. OKC is one I'm looking at as a can't-lose matchup. Keyshawn, what's going on? Appreciate every single one of you in here. He says you can't take a night off in the NBA. You can't. Look, Knicks have had some bad losses this year. Have had some great wins this year, But I really want them to win Friday against OKC. Mm-hmm. I really want them to not only show us, but, show everyone that, they're legit. And I do think they're legit. That's not me saying they're not, but I need them to win one of these marquee matchups. I do. I really do. And that will kind of get, fans feeling good again and, things back on track and whatnot. But I really want them to beat OKC. And it's going to be a tough game. Not calling it easy. I'm hoping that Deuce McBride is back for that game because if he's not, it's going to be tough.
Right.
So hopefully Deuce is back for that game. But, yeah, OKC, Milwaukee, Detroit, at Philly versus Minnesota versus Atlanta. Look, just don't you don't want them to be what do you say? If you were to give a record over these next 6 games, I kind of predicted 4-2. I would take that, honestly. 4-2, 3-3. The way the Knicks team is currently playing right now.
You can't go 2-4, Ant. You can't go 2-4, man. You know what I'm saying? If we go 3-3 during this stretch, I'm okay with that. But go 500, man. I'm okay with that because these teams are tough. These teams are tough, and we know the issues with the bench, right? So if we're fully loaded, we got Mitch back and everything. I feel like we would go 6-0, right? Yeah. Because he's a big factor. Mitch is huge coming off that bench, right? So that's where we've really had our issues, right, with that bench unit. So that's the key, man. But I'm with you. We go 4-2 or even lowballing it 3-3. I'm happy about that, man. But let's kind of, to everyone's point, man, let's kind of play up and do better with the competition that we're playing against, right? Let's beat these top teams to show the league that we are legit. And that's my mindset when it comes to these games. Kind of like the lower teams we've been beating up on, but a lot of these mid teams that are solid teams we've been struggling with. And then we have not beat the elite teams. We just haven't. And not saying that we can't because we have been close outside of the Boston game. But, man, that's, to me, second place is the first loser, man. So beat these guys. Beat them. That's it. Get in the winning column. Get your confidence up, and that's it. So I say, honestly, I think we go 3-3 and 3-3.
3-3. Yeah. I say they could go 4-2, but I see 3-3 on the table too. This first half, like OKC, depends what they do versus OKC. If they, I want to see how that game plays out. But this is one of those games where I really want them to win. Like, I don't really call this like it's not a must win or anything like that. Right. But I got to see them, But we essentially gave the game away last week, right?
No, we definitely, and we haven't spoken since then, right?
No, we haven't.
No, they definitely gave the game away, man.
Yeah. So
they definitely gave the game away. OKC got a lot of home cooking too, Ant. A lot of home cooking. A lot of fouls on Brunson at the top of the key. A lot of stuff they let go. Iheart stepped out of bounds to save the ball. They let that go. It was a lot of home cooking, man. So it's okay. It's all right. No issues. But I agree with you, Ant. We got to win, man. And we got to win just to kind of send a message to the league that we all legit, man. Like, even if we win that and we lose to Milwaukee, I'm okay. But to beat OKC, a legit contender, sends a message to everybody in the league that the Knicks are legit. It's not a fluke.
Agree. Queen's Kid says big game Friday. Statement game. This Rover, remember when last Friday was supposed to be the statement game? Question mark. Smirk.
Disc Rover dropping bombs in here. All right, so Disc Rover, we're back at it again, okay? Statement game again on Friday.
Part 2. Part 2. Some movies are better in part 2 and part 1.
That's right.
If OKC loses on Friday, OKC may be ready for trades and firing their water and towel boy for a fresh start. Nah, they fine. They fine.
Nah, man. They don't even have Chet back, man.
Yeah, this is where we see what we're made of. If we are actually a contender. Yeah, look, if they go 2-4 LV,
yeah, man. Yeah.
I know, we're not going to be panicking or anything like that, but going back to the conversation.
It's going to make you raise an eyebrow. It's going to make you raise an eyebrow. You're going to say, okay, all right. You know what I mean? But if they go 3-3, 4-2, you're like, okay, all right, I could see us possibly still going to Eastern Conference Finals and maybe Finals, right? So we feel that way, but yo, man, you got to play well against the top dogs, man. I mean, that's the key here.
You got to. Like you said, Detroit, man. Look, they lost Ivy, but shout out to Detroit, playing well. Kay Cunningham's balling out. Philly, you don't know what you're going to get with Embiid. And, I mean, it's like they're out every other game. I mean, every notification I see is Embiid is out tonight. So I'm like, okay.
Right.
So then Minnesota, Atlanta. So show us what you're made of. Show us what you're made of. But it starts Friday versus OKC. Talked about a lot today. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Once again, subscribe to the channel. If you're new here, LV also has a YouTube channel. We do this every week. LV hops on the podcast and we just chop it up, talking Knicks. It's cool that, you guys tune in and support. Really, really appreciate that. Hit some of these comments before we head up out on here, LV. Nice says 5-1. Love the enthusiasm. 5-1.
I like that, though. I like that. Nice. I like that.
5-1. Let's go. We haven't really beaten an elite team, says Queen Kids 89. Go back to the Denver win was really the win that stood out to me.
Big win. Right. Denver was the big win. We blew their doors off. And then, of course, I thought the big game, too, was when everyone felt that Orlando had the best defense in the league and we embarrassed them on national television. Yeah. Right. So, to me, that was the big, big statement wins.
Yeah. Sam says for the next 6 games, the team should feel like they should win every game. They were beating arguably the top 2 teams, OKC, Cleveland, going into the 4th. Sam says, yeah, agree. Look, up 13 versus Cleveland, couldn't pull it together early on in the season, but you gotta have these statement wins. You gotta get these statement wins, especially home in Madison Square Garden. Take care of home.
Also too, Ant, like what I think too, man, like it's good for the team, like the players too, man. Like for them to feel good about themselves, right? For them to have that camaraderie. They're regular people too, guys. So trust me, they know, like, okay, yo, man, we haven't really beaten some of these guys. So I think they're gonna be really motivated to play Friday. And a question I have, I want to throw out there to the chat and also to you, Ant. Do you think that maybe they were looking ahead as to why they lost these 3 games? You think they were focused on next Friday? You thought after they lost to OKC, were their minds focused on getting that get back to where they had some mental lapses these last 2 games, and they're really, really prepping for Friday? What say you guys?
It's a good psychological evaluation, but it could be like, look, you go back to the OKC game, you had it, let go of the rope in the 4th, and you lose that game. Then you hop on a plane to Chicago, and you're like, all right, it's the Bulls. They're
Rose night.
They're Rose night. They're not really good. You have that lapse in the 3rd quarter. Then that's all she wrote. Then that's where I really wanted them to win the Orlando game and kind of get, the 2 losses out of your head. But the Orlando game, it was just they couldn't score. They couldn't hit anything. So
it feels like with me also too with that, they might have took them lightly. Oh, they don't got these guys. They don't have nobody. You know what? This is going to be a walk in the park, because that's what it looked like to me. Like those guys were sleepwalking the whole night. And I'm like, yo, man. But that's what it felt like to me. They thought they could just roll up in there and just get a victory because they realized their top guns aren't there.
Yeah. And, got a great win versus Toronto quickly. RJ, they're rebuilding. Scotty Barnes, he's I don't know what quick Scotty, but it just doesn't do it for me. Like I don't know.
With Scotty Barnes?
Yeah, it's just like it's like I don't know. He's been doing little injuries, but they're rebuilding. And then look, tough 6-game stretch coming up. Appreciate you guys in the chat. LV, this was fun.
Oh man, as always, man. Definitely be back. See you next week, man. But big game Friday, man.
Big game.
Friday.
Big game. Hey, guys, enjoy the rest of the day. Enjoy your Thursday. Big game Friday. Let's go Knicks. I'm Anthony. That is LV. We'll catch you next time. Peace.